Just to jump around a little, sorry, when we get guests on like you, it's so many questions come into your head. Just going back slightly to the UN Disaster Relief Organization says that generally speaking, countries, or in its opinion, countries are getting better at dealing with disasters. Do you think that's true?
Well, if you look back in history in the 1980s, when the UN bodies and we all saw that natural disasters and weather disasters are on increase, I would say the progress is pretty small. I mean, we had a IDNDR, an International Decade for Natural Disaster Reduction in the 90s, and from this emerged great strategies, the UN ISDR, the International Strategy for Disaster Reduction. These bodies do a great job and they help in many, many countries. But thinking that we are a huge global community and we struggle now for 20 and more years in this field, I would say we need just more. If you take an example like Cyclone Nargis or others, which immediately kill hundreds and thousands of people. And this is the point also if we are here at COP. Of course we need this framework, this top-down approach, this binding rules, and also adaptation in laws. But also we need to think of the community levels, what people really need, what their capabilities are, and what their own coping strategies are. It's a totally different world. So we need both, and up to now, we maybe in the north or the western countries just thought we know what the poor people in the poor countries need. We need a paradigm shift, also working on community level, and both these worlds, the top down and the bottom up, need to shake hands in the middle, otherwise we won't get a solution.
And wearing your insurance hat, as you did for 16 years, rather than your insurance foundation hat. Oh, I've completely forgotten what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask about disasters increasing. Oh, I was going to, when I told someone that I was coming on to interview you, in fact, I told two people, and they both had a rather intriguing reaction. And they both raised this issue of compensation or the insured value of disasters in the north and the south, and said they found it odd that when there were disasters in a developing country, the values were so much lower and the value on a human life was less and than in an industrialized country. And I wonder if you could just talk about that for a minute, because people seem a little bemused by it, that after all, people are people. Why should the value on a life be completely different when it comes to compensation or damage incurred?
The value of the life is the same in each and every place. And I mean, the insurance industry is pretty mature in many of the developed countries. People are over-insured and it's an own market. But if we speak of the developing world, we have no insurance at all, and I think we must free ourselves from the idea what is insurance. The people who watch this program might think of their own insurance, their car insurance, house insurance, but microinsurance and the solutions we talk about is much more. It's using the insurance mechanisms which definitely work. We can see it in the developed markets. The mechanism works of a solidarity principle that many pay into a pool or pay a premium in order to help those who really have a problem or have an incident. So I heard the word of compensation a lot, and it's funny because we are here at the COP. When you speak with negotiators of the US, they don't like a lot you say compensation. But if you speak with them about solidarity systems and just global solidarity, they are pretty open.
This is a slightly different point. It's not on insurance exactly, but on the sense of compensation. There was a suggestion I read in an article last night which said since the fossil fuel industry has created so much global warming, and they are also now the ones who are helping to stoke up the climate deniers and the US government and creating problems to get the thing solved. They've created it and now they won't help solve it. Maybe we should, and every year that passes adds, $500 billion to the cost of solving it, let's say. Why don't we send them the bill?
We've only got 2 or 3 minutes, so you'll have to keep this one short.
I like this because it's a very important point. We have here as a big issue polluter pays principle, compensation, and the rich countries are guilty. And I think this won't get us to a good solution, because the rich countries, or let's say the countries which caused the problem, will not be open here saying, okay, I caused the problem, so here are my billions, just take it and do something with it. So a better concept, I would say, is the ability to help principle, where all countries who really can help, can do something, really do something. It's a kind of a different concept, but it's much more open, more positive, and more future-oriented. So just a simple idea, why not put up a country fostering system, where a rich country has another country, a poorer country, as a foster child, and tries to help them and tries to improve the situations. This would even more or less reach the private people who would be able to identify and would individually try to better serve this country. And my idea is that the ability to pay concept is much more promising than the one built on guilt and on laws and rules and restrictions.
Okay, we've got a few seconds left. So I'll just ask you one quick question, back to industry again, because we haven't covered much here about industry at this conference, you know, as another form of NGO. Is the insurance industry actually lobbying to governments to act to reduce climate change, and for perfectly sensible financial reasons?
Well, there are groups like the so-called UNEP Finance Initiative, which comes from UNEP and gets together banks and insurers in order to teach the politicians what policy serves not only the environment but also the industry. The problem is, if we here do only policy for policy reasons and we do not think about market rules, about all these things, the policy won't work. So we need to partner up, we need to work together, and the global problems, this is my last sentence, can only be solved in public-private partnerships. We need more of this.
Thomas Loster, thank you. That's a very good note to end. Thomas Loster is the chairman of the Munich Re Foundation. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us.